Welcome back, friends. Gabriel Kevin here. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing very well. So today we are going to have another installment in my music tutorials. On my channel, Everything Gabriel covers and talks about from mixing to recording to producing to mastering and even songwriting and all kinds of other stuff. So check out the channel. But let's get into this today. So what we're going to do today is copy, cut, and paste. Now I use Studio One, and that's what you're seeing on the screen. And there's other DAWs like Pro Tools, etc. So whatever one you're using, I think a lot of these things transcend the DAW, and you know, if you have Studio One, then you'll be able to do things that I'm going to show you here. If you have other DAWs, you can use the concepts and stuff like that, and then you'd have to look to see how it works in your other DAW. But I always think there's always good stuff, whether you have Studio One or not. So anyway, let's get into it. So we're going to do copy, cut, and paste. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about events. So here on the screen, what I'm going to highlight are some events, and they're vocal events in my song Wonderland. And what we're going to do is first we're going to show how to copy and then paste, and then the same thing applies to cut. So we don't have to waste your time showing you how to cut, because it's just the same thing as copy and paste, obviously. Okay, so a couple things you need to know right up front is at the top here, right here, there is a icon that looks like an event, and it looks like a line. Now this is called toggle snap, I believe. It just went away. Toggle snap. And I like to call it snap to grid. So if I say snap to grid, it's the same as toggle snap. So what does it do? So right now it's off. Okay, so if I take my cursor and this line here where the where you start your play at, and I put it anywhere, I can put it anywhere in the grid because it's not snapping to anything. And I use bars as my grid, the notes here, whole notes, half notes, quarter notes. If I turn it on, it's going to snap to the grid. So if I turn it here, it's going to go there. If I try to do it there, it's going to go right in the middle, and then it's going to go there. And this is all dependent upon what I set here in terms of the interval that I want it to snap. So to do copy and paste, I highly recommend, I'm not sure how you would do it without it, to turn on toggle snap or snap to grid. And I'll show you why. Okay, here we go. So this here are answering parts to my chorus. So I'm going to solo these, and they're doubles. And you can check out my tutorial on vocal doubling and vocal alignment. But I'm going to play this just so we know what we're playing here.
Do you know the way?
Okay, so that's what we have. Let's pretend that over here, this is a chorus intro. I'm going to come down here, and the same parts are in this chorus one, which is the next chorus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these. So you can highlight the events, and you just hit delete, and it deletes the events. Now, it takes a little bit of time sometimes on vocals because I have Melodyne working behind it, which is a pitch corrector. You can check out my video on Melodyne. But when you have a lot of stuff happening on certain events, it might take a little time for it to process, but that's okay. Okay, so let's pretend I actually sang these, and then I want to copy them over to the other chorus. Now, I am not destroying my song Wonderland because I created a copy called Tutorial. So here we go. So what we need to do is we need to have a reference point. And the reference point is going to be one of these grids. And that's why you need toggle snap on or snap to grid on. So let's take the first one, and all we're going to do is we're going to copy this first one here. So I'm going to take this solo off here, leave this solo on. So this first line here, we're going to copy over to the other chorus. So all you need is one reference. And I usually use the one, if you have multiple events, I use the one in the front. So I'm going to highlight that one. Now, toggle snap is on, and I'm going to pull the front of it, and you can see that, hey, when I recorded this, I started to record here, waited, made some noise there, and then I sang it. Then when you're done and you look at my edit, trim, events and stuff like that, you can see more detail about this. And then what I did was I just kind of, you take toggle snap off, and I just pulled it back after I did the record, and so you get rid of all that noise up front. So that's why it's sitting like this, but that's not in good position to do a copy. So put the toggle snap back on, pull this out to some reference point. Any one of these will do. I usually do where the main bar is, but sometimes I just go right to the beginning of the chorus. Now, that has snapped to the very beginning of the chorus. So that's my reference. Now, again, everybody knows that Gabriel says, when you do records, definitely use the metronome, use the click track, because that way you're always aligned to these bars, and then you can do what we're doing here. Because now we're going to copy this with this reference point, and we're going to use that reference point in the other chorus. It's pretty straightforward stuff. So I'm going to highlight all of these, and I could just highlight the first one, but I'm going to do them all. I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit copy. Now it's in the clipboard. I'm going to move down here. Now remember, I got rid of these, and I'm going to put my cursor at the beginning of this chorus. Now the key here is that whatever track you want it on, make sure that track is highlighted. So over here you can see it's highlighted. If it's not highlighted, and I highlighted this one, and I put the cursor here, it's going to go down here at the bottom, and that's not where I want it. So you got to be conscious if you're highlighting all over the place. Make sure when you do the copy that the track you want it to go to is highlighted. And it's straightforward. Just put the cursor there. You can click anywhere, and you hit paste. Now, it may take a second because remember, there's processing behind this. So it's copying the events, and then it's done. And you notice that the front of this event is perfectly aligned to the beginning of the chorus. So now, if I hit play, okay, it's perfect. And how do I know that? So let's take the solo off and listen to it with the total song. It's right on. It's got to be right on because snap the grid. Then you can do it again, further courses down, etc. So you really, a lot of times, unless you want something different in your courses and you want a different performance, vocal performance, I just do the first one, I copy it down. Unless I want something different. And sometimes you do want something different. Just remember that when you're done this, you want to take toggle snap off, or snap to grid off, and highlight this and get rid of this front noise. And of course, you got to go back here and get rid of that front noise. Okay, which I'm not going to do at this second. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to do multiple lines. So let's get rid of this again. So highlight it, hit delete, wait for it to delete, come back. Okay, so it's already pulled. Now watch this. Okay, I want to copy these two tracks over there because that's what they are. I need both of them, right? So I put my front of this event to the snap to grid, with snap to grid on, to the beginning of the chorus, and now I have my reference point. I don't have to do this one. I only need to do one. You could do the middle one. It doesn't matter. It's just I always take the first one and the top one. So now I'm going to highlight all of this. Okay. And I have my reference point here. I have toggle snap. Oh, it's off because I was fixing things, so make sure you put it back on. And then I'm going to hit copy. So now it's copying events on multiple tracks, which you can do. And then I'm going to go back over here. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. Put the cursor at the beginning of the chorus. It's snap to grid. It's snap there. And now, key. Again, the track I want it to go on has to be highlighted. When you have multiple tracks, just highlight the first track. And the other ones will follow. So the best practice would be highlight the first event, pull it to some reference point, snap to grid, go to where you want to do it, highlight the first track. So if I had 10 tracks under here, I'd only highlight this one. You don't have to highlight this one. And then hit paste. Now it's going to take a second to do them all. Now it's starting at the bottom. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just that's the way it copies. So it does bottom up. And we'll just wait. And wait. Okay, there it is. Now if I go back, it looks exactly the same as the first one. And if I play it, now you get the full thing. I'll solo first. I can put the cursor here. And then I can take it off to make sure that within the song it does sound right. And I'll pull it forward a little bit. And there it is. So that It's very simple. Actually, I just have to remember a couple things. Your snap to grid, your reference point, highlight the track that you want it to go to. If it's multiple tracks, highlight the top track of the group. And it could be, it doesn't have to be together. It can be anything. You know, you can have a space in between, but as long as you highlight the first track, the top track, then it'll work. It'll work fine. So that is pretty cool stuff. Now, to do a cut, if I wanted to cut this and put it over there, it would be the exact same thing. This would just go away. The first one would go away. It's a cut. So we're not going to do that and waste your time here. Now let's do something else. So let's do this. Let's get rid of this bottom track. Delete. Bye-bye. Now, what if I wanted to drag, and this is going to be a move, okay? So part of this is moving stuff. What if I want to move this event down? Just whatever reason. So I would put snap to grid on, and you can put it anywhere. And then you can just drag it down. Boom. Pretty easy, huh? Now there's a little trick here. I'm going to hit my little undo button, put it back. Okay, so if I didn't have snap to grid, let's take snap to grid off. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to just put this in a random spot. Try to make it not on any grid. See, it's freeform, right? So I'm going to put it anywhere. And if you didn't have snap to grid on, and you still pulled it down, but if you did a very good job of pulling it down evenly, Studio One knows that's what you want to do. It's intuitive. It's one of the reasons why I like Studio One. It's intuitive. You can do drag and drop. But it knew, without snap to grid on, and this is only moving it down. It knew that, okay, you're moving this straight down. I'm just going to move it exactly straight down. Now I'm going to undo that. So you can have snap to grid on or not, but in my heart of hearts, I always feel better when the snap to grid is on. So it's highlighted. I'll snap it to here. Whoops. I can snap it to there too. And then I'll just drop it down. And then I know. Now here's the thing. Let's undo that. And just one more thing I want to do. Let's take snap to grid off. I'm going to put it again in a random spot. Okay, so now I'm going to just pull it down, but I'm not going to let go. I'm going to pull it down, and I'm going to move it around. You notice it's freeform. But right when you get to there, it snaps because it knows that's right below it. But anywhere else, it'll be freeform. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put it back. Put it back where it was. Let me undo so it's exactly right. There. So if I have snap to grid on, and snap it to a grid. Let's do this guy here. And then I pull it down. Of course, it's going to go exactly where it should be. But now if I move it around, say I want it, okay, I want to pull it down, but I want to move it forward. It's going to start snapping to grid. See, it's snapping to grid. It's not freeform. And I think I have this at what, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note. So that's why it's moving little tiny intervals on the snap to grid. Okay, cool. So that's our tutorial for today. I hope that was, useful for you in Studio One, and hopefully in any other DAW that you'll be able to use the same concept. And the idea of snapping to grid. I know this says toggle snap, but Gabriel likes to say snap to grid because it makes more sense. That this is really the same concept in another DAW. You would still snap to grid because you want to be able to align it perfectly. Okay, so if we wanted to do this whole section of course intro here and copy this whole thing all the way down, okay, with everything, and say we get down here, we have bass guitars and stuff like that, and we want to copy the whole intro and all the stuff above it, this whole section, that's a whole different type of copy, because this is the arranger track, and this whole thing to be copied, say I want to copy a chorus forward to the beginning of a song, because I think it'd be cool to have the chorus in the beginning, but I never built it that way. You can do that. You can put it in, and it will insert it in and push everything out. But that would be more of an arranger track, section, copy, or cut. You can cut it. And I'm not going to do that here because there's a whole tutorial on the arranger track that you want to look at. I would highly recommend after this one to look at that one so you know how to move the whole thing, which I have done. And there's ways to in the arranger track to say you had too many courses at the end to delete one or two or five. It's very easy. Look at the arranger tutorial. Other than that, I think we're good for this. So please put your comments in if you like what you see here and you want to see more stuff, because I'm always coming out with new stuff for the music tutorials, also for literary, writing novels, how to make Philly cheesesteaks, and my Radical Cathedral kind of reality show that's on my channel. If you want to know when all these episodes and all these new tutorials come out, please subscribe. That helps me out too. Please like and please definitely share and put your comments in on anything that you want to add and help other people. I believe we're a community of artists and mixers and really just great people we are. So we can help each other out. Anyway, so much for that. So please subscribe, please like, please definitely share, and have an awesome, awesome creative day. Thank you. Bye.